Let's start here with 11 through 20 here. And Aaron, I'm going to be honest here. This is your list. And and I have no problem with it. It's a great list. There's some interesting names here that I would have thought would have been higher. So not only are we going to predict these things, but I want to get your outlook on these players and why you either have them so high or so low. Let's start off with Jon Brown, the linebacker from the Tennessee Titans, now a free agent here. Where does he land? We'll simplify this. Where is he going?
For me, it's Philadelphia. And some people probably don't even have him on this list because he hasn't been very productive in Tennessee. But the fact of the matter is he's young, he's athletic, he's a good mobile linebacker. He can go sideline to sideline. I like him in Philly. Philly doesn't have great linebackers now. TJ Edwards, Alex Singleton. They're losing Jannard Avery. I think Philly's weak up the middle when you get outside of Fletcher Cox and those big guys up front. They need some linebacker help. I think Jon Brown's a good fit in Philly.
I like it. What other? I'm trying to. The reason why I was very, very slow to make that transition was I was trying to look at the rest of the linebackers that are in this free agent class and why you have him over. Let's just say like a Leighton Vander Esch. You're a big Cowboys guy. Why would you have him over like a Leighton Vander Esch?
Injury concerns, consistency, kind of fallen off since he started when he first came in the league. He looks slower. If you're specifically talking about Leighton Vander Esch, I'd much rather have Jon Brown.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to the next one here on this list. Landon Collins. We were just talking about him, and I will start this one off here. I'm gonna give the prediction here. We'll go back and forth here. We'll go back and forth. Jon Brown, Philadelphia. That's perfectly fine. Landon Collins is going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm not gonna say that for every single pick. But I think Landon Collins lands in Jacksonville. Obviously, it's a need for the Jags. They did bring in some draft picks out of the safety position. They need a veteran on this defense other than Shaq Griffin. Great player. They need veterans. But here, let me tell you some insider news here on Landon Collins on why he's going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. Landon Collins has a kid located here in Jacksonville. He's got family here. Landon Collins, bring him home, Jacksonville Jaguars. That's it. There's not much in-depth analysis on that. Landon Collins is going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar.
It's possible. I actually have Landon Collins going to Indianapolis. I think they upgrade the safety position, Justin Blackmon and those guys over there. They've been okay, but I think they get a Landon Collins who's a playmaker, and they got a lot of cap space. So I have him heading over to Indianapolis. I think they're in it. They got a lot of free agency in Indy. They got a lot of work to do.
Landon Collins, Jacksonville, book it. You say Indianapolis, we've booked it. Allen Robinson, you have him at 18. I would have had Allen Robinson much higher. Let's knock these wide receivers off here. There's 2 wide receivers on this list. Let's knock them both off here at once. You have Odell Beckham Jr. at 13. You have Allen Robinson at 18. This is just like what we do on our Pigskins and Pancakes show. But you have I did not understand why you have Odell Beckham Jr., who quite possibly could return as early as November of this year, could quite possibly miss the entire season and have to come back for the playoffs for a team. You have Odell Beckham Jr. at 13 and Allen Robinson at 18, who is healthy and will start the season on your team, hopefully. Why do you have why the big gap? Why OBJ over Allen Robinson?
The more I've been doing my research into Allen Robinson, he's kind of overrated. He's very much overrated. His production is not as great as one of the elite receivers in the league, which is why he's 18 on this list. There's far more productive players than he's been in his career. He's got 3,000-yard seasons. 3. I mean, he had a 1,400-yard in Jacksonville when he was 22, and that was great. Since then, his highest was 1,250, and that was 2 years ago in Chicago. Now, I get it. He hasn't played with any quarterbacks, but we've seen guys, DeAndre Hopkins and some of the elite receivers that didn't play with quarterbacks that still produced at a high level. Allen Robinson's been banged up at times. He hasn't been as consistent as I thought he was. Honestly, I just don't find the value of putting him, especially at the receiver position, of putting him higher on a free agency list. No team, I don't feel like teams should be spending upwards of $20 million to pay a guy like that.
See, I don't think that like Allen Robinson to me obviously isn't a top 10 wide receiver, but I'd say Allen Robinson is I argue he's around the top 20. He's around the top 10, maybe the back end of
Back in the
20.
top 20, I can agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's there. And also, I mean, you talk about what he's been able to do without a quarterback, and you're right. You brought up DeAndre Hopkins. That's a fair comparison. But what did Mike Williams just get in terms of contract? I can't remember his actual deal.
Overpaid.
Okay.
Yeah, overpaid. But he's also younger. Which makes a big difference. He hasn't been in the league quite as long. But yeah, he was definitely overpaid. I think Mike Williams is what, 26?
Yep. Let me see
Allen
where.
Robinson's 20.
So
Allen
Mike
Robinson's 28 going on
Williams,
29.
Mike Williams, in terms of average per year, is the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth highest paid wide receiver in terms of money per year, and he's making 20 million a year. 20 million a year. So Allen Robinson less than 20 million, probably around. Nah, he probably will.
Allen Robinson won't get 20 million. Allen Robinson will get around 16 million a year.
Okay, that puts him up
around because of age. I mean, age plays a factor in that.
So that puts him around Adam Thielen. That puts him around Robert Woods, Mike Evans. I mean, Brandon Cooks. I'd say the bar is Brandon Cooks level for Allen Robinson. I don't get the
so that's my point. So
I don't get the overrated part though.
So overrated is, to me, maybe it's overstated. I just think he's not as good as sometimes I think we've given him credit for. He has had really good seasons a couple of times, but outside of that, it's been nothing special. So when I think of the top wide receivers getting top dollar, Allen Robinson doesn't come to mind. So, and when we're talking about free agency, the wide receiver position it's very scarce. It's a deep wide receiver class. And we've seen now the wide receiver position has started to turn into the running back position where guys don't really want to pay anybody because what happens? Get Michael Thomas, get Amari Cooper, who are great players and great receivers, but never live up to those contracts.
Yeah. So PFF has the contract projection for Allen Robinson, 3 years, 45 million, which ends up being 15 per year. So that's right around where he needs to be. I think Allen Robinson ends up with a contender. Give me Allen Robinson to. I know the New England hype is out there. I don't like New England as a destination for Allen Robinson. I think with him being able to decide where he can go, I think you see Allen Robinson in. I'm going to stick with what I said in the AFC West offseason outlook. Allen Robinson is going to be a Las Vegas Raider at the end of the free agency.
I have Allen Robinson going to the Cardinals and pairing him up with DeAndre Hopkins and adding a weapon there. They lose Christian Kirk. They got Rondale Moore, who's young, but I have him going to the Cardinals there, and I have Odell Beckham returning to the Rams.
I also have that.
I think it's just a good fit, and when he's healthy, what he showed with the quarterback who can get him the ball, he's still explosive. He seems to be on the right track. I like Odell back with the Rams.
Man, a healthy Robert Woods, a healthy Cooper Kupp, and a healthy Odell Beckham Jr. They have the chance.
And a healthy Van Jefferson. Like, it's just they're loaded.
Yeah,
they're loaded.
they have a chance to repeat if they have that type of receiving group. So that's those two wide receivers knocked out here. Now Marcus Maye at 17. We both really like Marcus Maye, the safety from the New York Jets, now going to be a free agent. I think the Jets should have re-signed Marcus Maye. I will state that. I think that was a big mistake for the New York Jets to let him go. Where does Marcus Maye land in this year's free agency?
We brought it up on the offseason outlook. AJ thought they could use some safety help. I think it's Denver. I think Denver loses a guy like Kareem Jackson. They can use some safety help there. He said Quandre Diggs. I like Marcus Maye here. I think Marcus Maye is a good fit. He brings a physical style of play, and I do think he's coming off an injury. Maybe you can get him a little bit cheaper. They have a ton of cap space, but I do think Marcus Maye ends up in Denver. There's a lot of safeties out there.
There is, and we'll definitely talk about the biggest name safety in just a little bit. I think it's Baltimore, and I listed Baltimore as a landing spot for a Tyrann Mathieu, but this is gonna come back and bite me in the ass because now I'm gonna have to want to decide on where I put Tyrann Mathieu. But I think Baltimore is a perfect spot for Marcus Maye. They don't have to pay that much, and they get a veteran guy on their team. Obviously not a big time veteran like a Tyrann Mathieu, but Marcus Maye has been in the league for a little bit now. I think he lands in Baltimore. Go with Baltimore.
I like it.
The guy you just brought up, Quandre Diggs, Seattle Seahawks, former Seattle Seahawks cornerback. You're chomping at the bit for this one.
No, it's funny because I actually think he's going to the Jets. I think they're swapping. They're letting Marcus Maye walk, and I think they're going to go after Quandre Diggs. They obviously still need safety help. Robert Saleh is still a defensive-minded head coach. He's going to look for defense. He wants to build his team with that defensive foundation. I think Quandre Diggs is a veteran. He brings leadership. Players love to play with him. He's always around the football. I think Quandre Diggs makes sense for the Jets with letting Marcus Maye go. Whatever that fractured relationship has been with Marcus Maye, I think they rebuild that with Quandre Diggs.
Okay, fair enough. I like it. Next up on the list, Hassan Reddick, former Carolina Panthers linebacker, former Arizona Cardinals linebacker. He had a big year with the Arizona Cardinals, got him a chance with Carolina. Now he's on the market again. Oh man, this one's a tough one. On where to put Hassan Reddick, because really, I mean, just about every. I'd say there's a good market for linebackers. There's a lot of good linebackers in this class, and there's a lot of teams that need linebackers. Where does Hassan Reddick land?
You're gonna notice a running theme from my list. I have Hassan Reddick going to the Denver Broncos. I think the arms race is ready to go here. Denver has a lot of money to spend. They got some free agencies, and they're not very good up front when it comes to the defensive side of the football, especially in the middle level there. They lose Alexander Johnson. They don't have really any interior linebackers. They put him on the outside with Bradley Chubb on rushing. I think Hassan Reddick's a good fit there. He's a playmaker. He gets sideline to sideline. He brings a little bit of a different versatility at the position, which most linebackers can't do. He can cover, he can rush, he can, play the run. I like Hassan Reddick there. I think he's a versatile player, and I think Denver is a good spot for him. You'll notice a running theme of this arms race
of Denver. Of every team in the AFC West just making moves after moves after moves. That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm gonna go with a team that did make a trade, but it wasn't for Denver and it wasn't Seattle. It's the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Indianapolis Colts really need linebacker help. They did not. They were at the bottom of the league in terms of sacks per game last year. They were not good at the linebacker position, and I mean, I think Hassan Reddick fits fills a good hole for the Indianapolis Colts, and now they have the cap space because they don't have Carson Wentz to deal with. Hassan Reddick to the Indianapolis Colts. Right? Are you right? Are you writing? Is the notepad out?
No, I'll write it down when I
you do all the clipping anyways.
When I review the show.
You do so much work on the show. It's unreal. Next on the list, Devonte Campbell, linebacker with the Arizona Cardinals. Really, I should have grouped these linebackers together, but I didn't. He's not even with the Arizona Cardinals. That picture is not even right. He was with the Green Bay Packers, former linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. Where does Devonte Campbell land?
This might be something that people don't agree with me on because they've always been pretty deep at this position, but I really like Devonte Campbell in Pittsburgh. I think he just fits. I think he's a Steeler. I think he's a Pittsburgh type of player. He had a really good year last year, probably earned himself, a significant payday. I think Pittsburgh needs to still kind of address that defense. We talk about their offensive line, and maybe, the quarterback position and offensive line are more what they want to focus on. But I think getting a Devonte Campbell and then also some pieces at the cornerback level are going to be important for them. They want to still build around their defense, especially with the young quarterback, you assume. I think Devonte Campbell would fit nicely in Pittsburgh, and I think there's a chance they get him.
I'm going to go with an NFC East spot, not the New York Jets. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots, team that's just
the AFC East.
Or AFC East. Jesus Christ. Oof. AFC East team in the New England Patriots. I think that obviously they just got rid of Kyle Van Noy. I think that Devonte Campbell is going to be able to bring in a good. I don't think he's gonna like get a massive payday. I think this is maybe something like a 2-year, 3-year deal. But the New England Patriots are going to be. They've lost Kyle Van Noy. They could be losing Dante Hightower. I mean, this is a team that needs help with the linebacker position. They need to keep building to try and compete with the Buffalo Bills in that AFC East, and they land Devonte Campbell. Boom. I'm gonna get all these right. I'm just letting you know that I'm gonna get all of these right, and it's just gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Last but not least, we'll knock these two bad boys out here. Darius Williams and Stefon Gilmore, back-to-back cornerbacks in your rankings here. I am sticking with my prediction of Stefon Gilmore going to the Houston Texans, and if you missed these shows that we've had, they're beautifully clipped and easy to watch on YouTube out now at the Sac City Pod. But we gave the outlook for the Houston Texans. We gave the outlook for the Detroit Lions. Darius Williams to the Detroit Lions and Stefon Gilmore to the Houston Texans fills big-time needs for those two teams. And I think those are two younger teams that could use that veteran-type leadership from a Stefon Gilmore and a Super Bowl experience from a Darius Williams.
I'm with you on the Darius Williams, the familiarity with Brad Holmes. I think that's a good fit in Detroit with the defense that needs help. So I also had him going to Detroit. Stefon Gilmore, I don't think there's a chance in hell he goes to Houston. Late in his career, I think he wants to go somewhere where he has the chance to win. But I think it's more to me, it's more about relationships. Stefon Gilmore has talked a lot about Mike Tomlin, and I think losing Joe Hayden, I think Pittsburgh, again, here's Pittsburgh, is a good spot for a Stefon Gilmore. They're losing Ahkello Witherspoon too. He's a free agent. They're nickel back. No Joe Hayden. Obviously, you can throw Stefon Gilmore in there to line up on the opposite side of Cameron Sutton. Steelers defense, it goes together. I like Stefon Gilmore in Pittsburgh.
Good spot. That is a great spot. They desperately need cornerbacks as well. They are really in need of some cornerback help. So that would help them out a lot.